So let's start with the most important question. What is the amygdala and where is it in the brain? Well, the amygdala is a small almond-shaped region just anterior to the hippocampus. So if we look at this brain model here, we might be able to see that the hippocampus spirals around here and the amygdala sits just here, snugly, just anterior to the hippocampus. And it's hugely important in our emotional regulation, particularly with things like fear and anxiety, but it does so much more than that. What's actually pretty interesting is that despite how vital it is for our daily lives, it is possible to live without it.
A lady that we will refer by her initials as M was since her childhood afflicted by a rare genetic condition that made her amygdala effectively non-existent by the time she reached her teens. And she generously took part in hundreds of research studies about the role of the amygdala, and as a result, scientists have a much better and deeper understanding of the life without the amygdala. Now let's have a look at what they have found out. First, SM did not have any feelings of fear, any at all. Snakes, no fear. She would take a snake in her hand. Strangers, of even people who would break into her house, no fear whatsoever. Despite being once kidnapped and driven to a remote location by a stranger, she would register no memory of threat and fear and would repeat the same experience again and again. And she was once held at gunpoint, and once she escaped, she did not call the police. So excessive fear is not good, we all agree, but no fear at all, maybe not so good after all.
The amygdala also plays a major role in our reward pathways, sometimes called the mesolimbic system. And if we look at this brain model, we can see several of the regions in the pathway. Dopamine neurons originating from the ventral tegmental area, or the VTA, project out towards regions such as the nucleus accumbens, prefrontal cortex, and amygdala. This integration of the amygdala means that it has a whole lot of influence on things like our learning, decision making, and motivation.
Some other things are more surprising though. For example, SM does not have a normal drive to feed herself and would go days on end without eating if there was no food available at home. Another symptom is an ability to plan to spend money strategically in rational ways. For example, if there was a choice between food or something irrelevant for survival, and she could only afford one of those items, she would not understand the priorities, and that would lead to many financial difficulties in her life. And last but possibly the most difficult of these symptoms when it comes to being happy, SM could not form stable or lasting relationships in her life, even with her own kids.
Together with other regions like the hypothalamus, the amygdala also influences our feeding behaviors and appetite regulation. In fact, one study in mice suggested there might be specific serotonin neurons that project out of the amygdala and influence our food reward, especially during that early phase of eating, and they might even influence some aspects of taste. And based on the role of the amygdala in our emotional responses and our motivational behaviors, it's easy to see how it can also influence our relationships and our social circles. Definitely influence our behaviors during pretty dangerous and just generally sketchy situations. If you want to know more about the amygdala, have a read through our blog below and let us know if you have any thoughts or any questions, and have a great day.